Let's draw a head. Now start with the best circle you can make. Trace one if you'd like, or if you're freehanding it, start by lightly sketching with your whole arm, moving only the elbow and shoulder. No movement at the wrist or fingers. Now mark the middle of the circle, then drop a vertical line straight down, using the side of your paper as a guide to be sure you truly are drawing a vertical line. Now drop another line down that's the same length as the one you just drew. Double check it with some scrap paper. It looks like I was off a little. After you make sure it's right, add a small horizontal line to mark the chin. Now from the very outermost edge of the circle, drop a line almost straight down, just angling in a tiny bit. Then repeat it on the other side. Know that you've got some wiggle room with the length and the angle, so long as you make sure that these two lines are in fact the same angle and the same length. Now connect the end of the line to the chin with a curve. Right-handers should start on the left and left-handers vice versa. Then rotate your drawing 180 degrees and replicate the curve you just made on the other side. Now rotating your paper like this allows you to use the natural drawing motion of your wrist, so you should have a lot more control as you try to match the curve from the other side. Now you don't need that circle anymore, so go ahead and erase it, but maybe leave the bottom just a little bit because you can use that later. So now we have the basic head shape, but you can tweak these steps for all kinds of different head shapes. For example, if you make these lines a little bit longer and a little bit closer to vertical, and you lower and lengthen the chin just a smidge, you'll end up with more of a lantern kind of square jaw. Or you could draw these lines shorter and then make the chin narrower for whatever this shape head is, like an oval or I don't know, kind of a pointy chin. Or you can drop these lines down past the chin to draw a soft jawline, which is probably a tad more common than you might think. Regardless of the head shape, the next step is to add the eyes. They go in the middle of the head, which I find is easy to locate if you rotate the paper 90 degrees and look from the side. Now double check to make sure you really are halfway from the top to the bottom. As you can see, I was off a little bit. But that's alright. I measured, then I fixed it, and then I extend that line all the way across the head. Now use little dashes or dots to divide this line into 5 equal spaces. It's much easier to do this if you start with the middle space. It might take a few tries, but it's important to erase and try again if you need to get each of the five spaces the same length. Now draw the eyes a little on this side and a little on that side, and that's the key to making them even. I have a separate video on drawing an even symmetrical pair of eyes, which hopefully you've seen, and if not, maybe pause this and check it out. For the bottom of the eyes, like I say in the other video, start with a small horizontal line for the caruncle, then an almost flat line for the rest. Then shade in the caruncle, that's the pink thing in the corner of the eyes, and use perfect circles for the irises. A little on each side at a time for the eyebrows too, making sure the eyebrows are wider than the eye and angled, usually the highest points closer to the ears. Again, I got a whole video on this stuff, so check that out. For the nose, please know that the nose is not halfway from the eyes to the chin, but the nose is actually closer to the eyes. So this places it a little below where the bottom of that circle was, if you can still see it. The nose is generally at least as wide as one eye, so you can drop lines down from the corners of your eyes, and then you can add your parentheses, using those lines as a guide. But then add your nose ball, and then a pair of rainbows growing from the bottom of the nose ball. And I've got a video on how to draw noses too, so I'll go into a little more detail about the rainbows and nose balls. But for now, this will hopefully get you started. Now from the side of the nose ball, not the side of the parentheses, the side of the nose ball, you can angle 2 lines in, and then when they get to the eye line, have them curve out above the eyes and just dissipate. Now you probably want to get rid of one of the sides of the nose and maybe either lighten or darken the top of the nose ball if you want a little button nose. Now on to the lips. A common mistake is to put the lips halfway from the eyes to the chin. The lips are instead a third of the way down from the nose to the chin. So rotate your paper and divide the area into thirds. If it helps, think of drawing the French flag. And this dash here, closer to the nose, that's the keeper. So extend it out about as wide as two eyes, or lined up with the middle of the eyes, that's the same thing. Then add a flattened U above the line right in the middle and connect it to the corners of the mouth. The bottom lip should be about the same thickness, but it's pretty poorly defined as a face structure, so I would just suggest it with a line that starts towards the corners of the mouth, but then kind of fades out before it actually gets there. If you use a hard line, it just looks kind of weird. The ears line up with the top of the eyes and the bottom of the nose. Now, ears are tough, they're really complicated, but a shortcut is to draw half of a skinny apple on each side of the head, drawing a little at a time on each side to make sure they're symmetrical. Then reduce that mess of soft lines in an ear. Just draw a letter C, and then a candy cane, and then another candy cane. And it doesn't look the best, but like I said, that's just a shortcut for drawing ears. You want it to look better? Find a picture of an ear. Now finally, you can use a few light lines at the edge of the eyebrows and outside the corners of the eyes to suggest the shape of the skull. Just don't draw the lines really hard like this. Instead, keep them soft with broken lines or hatch lines, something like that. Now, small tweaks to all these steps can create a variety of people, and it's thrilling to me to see all these randos just suddenly appear in my sketchbook. I hope it's fun for you too, and thanks for watching. And if you're curious to see my art, not a lot of people these days, but it's a lot of robots, but whatever, visit me at Robbie Something on Instagram.